we couldn't just stand watching. We had to do something about it. So me and the brothers, we decided to do something and deliver some kind of aid from Finland. We started by something very small, very individual and collective work, bringing it to the refugees inside neighboring countries. Turkey is one of those examples. After visiting the first time in Turkey, we noticed that Syrians in Turkey are very alive. They're not really living well. They're not really enjoying the same privileges they have had while they were living back home. So we moved our work inside Syria. Entering Syria was not easy, but alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we managed to build up very good connections with locals and build up this humanitarian work in a way that we see proper. So the prime work is taking, collecting, accepting all the donations that we were getting here from Finland and delivering it by hand, sort of hand-to-hand distribution. We couldn't just trust sending this money or the aid to certain group and they do the distributions like many other humanitarian organizations that they do. I was shocked, to be honest with you, when I went first to neighboring countries and I was watching the refugee crisis inside these borders. I couldn't see a single humanitarian organization that was really having a concrete office or personnel at the borders taking care of the humanitarian distribution plans. I was really shocked. So I investigated the situation a little bit more and I found out that they have certain groups or offices inside Istanbul and they were delivering these aids when they come to Turkey through some people in the local communities, and that of course was not very sufficient. So I decided that we're going to do differently. We're going to do it by our hand. We're going to watch over the projects we do. We're going to distribute it. Every penny we get from here, we deliver it completely to Syria. So this is part of the amana that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala urged us to take care of. So I don't want to really talk too long. So here's a school that we are sponsoring inside Aleppo that is working really under bombing and under very heavy circumstances. It's just a great achievement to see some schools like this are really functioning under the bombardments of barrels and bombshells and all kinds of heavy artilleries and fighter jets, and they're still continuing to educate those kids. So we could not just stand there and watch, we had to help them. So this is this Suomi Syyria Yhteisö projects. We focused after 2.5 years on narrowing down our work into 3 different projects. We did not just help in every single aspect we could. We had to narrow it down due to the resources and the limited resources we got. So Opetus ja Koulut is one of those things. Humanitarian aids that we did, of course that mean food, medicine, all kind of medical equipments like sticks and wheelchairs, and of course our final project that started it about 7 months since August this year. Orphans came after we dealt with a lot of local people inside Syria. We've noticed that there are so many stories coming to us and telling us that we have no provider. So starting to investigate their situations, we noticed that there are orphans. And these orphans are in horrendous situations. You cannot really imagine the situation they're living in. Those people who have little money, they managed to escape the country. They managed to live somewhere else, hire a place, live there, fairly safe. But those who are unfortunate have nothing left in their pockets. They were left without no choice but to stay inside Aleppo. I'm speaking particularly in Aleppo right now. Of course, after touring in the refugee camps and all those things, we decided also to move our work into inside the city that is pretty deserted. all the humanitarian organizations that were coming from Turkey, they were dumping their aid inside those refugee camps and leaving back because it's not safe to drive to Aleppo. It was simply very, very dangerous. And they did not want to take that risk. So in refugee camps, yes, they live in tents, they live in very terrible situations. Yes, they live in poverty, yes, but they have their means of life. So when I went for the first time with brother Omar to Aleppo inside, we saw things I could not even imagine. I saw my city crushed. I have never really thought that I could see the city this badly damaged. It was systematically destroyed by barrel bombs, fighter jets, continuously bombing the city 24/7. Minimum of 30, 40 barrels dropping on the city every day. Every barrel that falls, it opens a whole yard. It drops 3 or 4 buildings. Each building has 15 to 20 apartment, and each apartment has a family of 10 or 8 or 5. So you can do the math and see exactly what is the real humanitarian Holocaust that has been taking place in Syria. So we started in 2012. This is the first journeys inside Syria. We started distributing food on 2013 to refugee camps, touring from camp to camp to camp and trying to see what exactly we can offer. We delivered from Finland some things, but we noticed that the costs are extremely high. We couldn't really bear, so we had our connections inside Turkey. Alhamdulillah, inside Turkey there are a lot of pious brothers who were ready to give us raw materials with almost the inside price or the retail price. It's cost nothing, and even they give us a lot of discounts. So a packet of spaghetti that could cost $1 in the market, we got it for 15 cents. We could not deliver a packet of spaghetti from here with 15 cents. It was impossible. So from food aid to Syria, until we started moving inside Aleppo, and we noticed also along the way that the education system is totally crumbled, and thousands of kids are left without schools, without education, and they were left wandering around doing nothing. There's of course no play fields to play, there's nothing to do. So we're losing a generation this way. Schooling and education was a very important step for us to take forward. And on 2014, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, without Ramadan and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with that holy month of Ramadan, we managed on last Ramadan time, to collect over 43,000 euros from all of you, barakallah fikum. All this money came to the account number of Swam Surya Uqtaysha, and this money helped distributing during the month of Ramadan, all the 30 days of Ramadan, we managed to feed 16,000 people. Every day they got hot meal. Every day. We served them, we gave it to them, they came. And along this month of Ramadan, we managed to register over 1,100 orphan families. Of course, they don't just come and say we are orphans. We have a committee, we have, alhamdulillah, an army of people inside Aleppo working with us for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they went to each single house and they made a checkup on the families, and they documented the living situations, and they reported back to the organizations inside Aleppo, and we either took the whole kids into custody or we deliver some aid to those families. But we managed to register over 1,100 orphan family living. I'm talking about a mother with 6, 7 kids living all alone, no provider, nothing. So this month of Ramadan was a big bless for us, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So, like I said, we have an army of people working inside Aleppo. We have people working inside Aleppo that made up 5 people. I'm talking about Aleppo. Outside Aleppo, we have 2 people working actively, all volunteers. On the refugee camps, we also have 4 people. That is also doing the field work, investigating the situation, keeping it, reporting it back to us, and they present the projects to us. I go make evaluations of the situation inside Syria. We assess it, we see what exactly we can do about it. We come back to Finland, we start campaign for it, and once the aid is almost there, we deliver it myself, and we see that it's done properly, and we appoint the people that works for it to help as much as people as possible. So, the school we decided to build finally inside the refugee camps. We have along the borders of Syria and Turkey, we have 68 refugee camps. 68 refugee camps. Each refugee camp combined of 100 tents, about approximately, plus minus. Each tent about 10 people. So we have hundreds of thousands of people in those refugee camps. 60% of those people are women and children. 60%. And those children are left without no education whatsoever. Nothing. They have learned nothing in the last 3 years. So we're facing a generation that is not just going to become ignorant, but we're losing hope for the future of Syria. We have to do something. They were constantly telling us we need to build a school, but we could not really do that. We did not have the money for it. It cost about 20 to 23,000 to build a school like this, and the task is huge, and it's so huge that it's depressing. So you just look at the humanitarian crisis in front of you. You think like, what can you do for this? You got an ocean of people that needs help. So we just cannot stay still. We had to do something. We decided finally to build that school, and that school came from the blessing of Ramadan, alhamdulillah. After we fed 16,000 people during Ramadan for the whole 30 days, we managed also to distribute 21,000 tons of food, not mentioning the meat and the chicken and the other things. So some money was left over from Ramadan. And that money was enough for us to build the structure of this school. So we decided to do it. And we left the rest of the money that comes on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thought Allah subhanahu will provide, inshallah. So I gave the guys, the engineers, to start building. The school was built in a record time of 21 days. It was a collective work from people that, even kids, they start carrying blocks and start shoveling things and going back and forth. Even kids, they were helping building that school. So we built it in a very record time of about three weeks. So we have 9 classes in the school, 520, now it's almost 600, since we have a nice school. So 520 students are getting education from 1st grade to 9th grade. Full education, approved by the Turkish government, which is providing the certificates that these are approved in Turkey and anywhere else. So the educational system is approved by the Turkish Education Ministry. To do this kind of project, we needed teachers. So we asked for help of the neighboring refugee camps that we are looking for teachers. And almost 60 teachers came forward, volunteering to work and help us educate those kids. We chose 23 out of them. Those 23, they were all previous teachers, each in his own field, and they were all given the tasks of helping. No one was promised a salary, nothing. They were just so happy to work and educate those kids and do their job that we were meant to do. And without them, we couldn't really do nothing. So those are the hidden soldiers that nobody talks about. And I go there all the time and I see them and I sit with them, and it's such a pleasure to see them so motivated. They're even more motivated than me. So it's amazing, subhanAllah. And they're all young. They're all 20, 22, 23. They all have 2-3 years of educational experience, and that was beautiful to watch. We have 3 personnel in the school working, and also we have a nurse working on part-time, also checking out on kids and see what exactly they need. If the situation is critical, they move them to a bigger hospital nearby the Turkish border. Also, we distribute to those camps, that is 11 camps, we distribute to them every time I go to Syria. I go to Syria every 6 weeks, maximum 2 months. I don't let the money lay in the bank. I always tend to send it and take it myself to those projects and help funding it. Is it the huoltajuus maksud, the orphan sponsorships, or even the school projects? Of course, this picture shows that we are sitting in this school. These kids actually don't wait for anything else except those toys. You have no idea how these toys do magic. You know, you can give them $1,000 to this kid, he would want that toy. So this is one of those schools inside Turkey. We are helping, of course, with the field schools inside Turkey, only for Syrians. Some collective people we're working. We're also sponsoring them with little we got, like books, pens, whatever they need, like bus fees. In schooling in Turkey, it's for free, but they need to pay 30 lira for each student that goes to school. So sometimes a family of 5 or 6 or 7 kids, they do not have the money to pay for this bus and go to school. So out of school, of a 300, 400 kid, there is always a 30, 40 kid that has no money at all to send their kids to school, even if it's for free. But they don't have the money to pay for the bus. So we help pay for those kids to go to school. So this is a school also inside Aleppo. Also, there's no proper school that is really functioning inside. All schools in Aleppo that I've visited, all these areas are bombed. And if it's not bombed, it will be bombed. So they take houses or apartments and they open it together and make a bigger space and form a school and try to teach those kids a little something. It's also all for, nobody gets a salary, all for charity. So we try to also support this kind of schools that are happening inside Aleppo, at least give it a reason to survive. You know, providing for teachers some salaries, some presents, we paint the school, we fix a damaged window, we provide electricity. Of course, there's no proper electricity. You have to buy all these generators and build a network of electricity and all these things. So it's a lot of work to be done. So it's not just you got 4 walls and school and kids and teachers. So there are a lot of things that are also necessary. This video is taken inside the school that we built, and this is a little promo of it.
هل تراك سئمت الكفاح وألقيت عنك إليك السلاح فمن للضحايا يواسي الجراح ويرفع راياتها للجليد
Tuossa oli pieni promo siitä, mitä me ollaan... We just saw that a little promo that we did on school that we built inside Syria. Like you just can see how happy the kids are. They practice for these presentations 3 days, I heard, to do it for us, and they wanted so eagerly. They were following our cars everywhere. First, we distributed the food and food baskets for the tents, and they were following us everywhere. They helped packing the rice and all the raw materials and bags. So after that, they came and presented the show for us. Here we're trying to distribute toys to those injured kids inside those refugee camps. Here's a kid that has been injured with his groins, and he was really delighted to have those little toys to play with. I'd like to talk now about the orphan project that we have. Of course, I don't want to talk too long. I would like to open the floor for all of you to talk about and ask and fire away your questions. We asked all of you today to bring toys, and you did. I see the corners quite full, and I don't know how I'm going to carry all these things when I go in January, inshallah, but I'll try to manage, inshallah. So toys are, I think toys plays a big role in making the kid happy. We all have kids. We all know when you want to make a kid, you bring him a toy, and it always pleases the kid. I got kids that don't need toys anymore, but they donated their toys. Actually, I have 6 kids and 4 daughters, and when they gave me 23 Barbie in the first time I went to Syria, I saw that the kids were really fighting for those Barbies, so I decided that from now on I'm not going to go to Syria without those toys. And of course, with all the toys that I'm getting from people, and when I don't get anything, I tour the garage sales, the kirko toys. I've become expert on that. So I go and I bargain for the toys for €1 or 2, and because I know the real joy that this really make the kids inside Syria. And we've seen even older women, they say, what about me? I've not had a toy before, so let's discuss a little bit about the orphan project we have. In the first place, the meaning of this gathering was to collect all those who are already sponsoring a child. About 110 people so far has came forward, and they took the responsibility to sponsor this child. Like I told you, during Ramadan, we had over 1,100 family came forward reporting for an orphan sponsorship. And we saw the urge, the huge gap in this field. So we decided to register all of them, and now we've brought those orphans as a file to Finland, and starting with a brother, Jazakallah Khair, here with us. I mean, when I mentioned this project to him, he said, I will take 10. And I was like, SubhanAllah. I didn't even speak about the project, and he said, I'll take 10. And at that time, I told the brothers in Syria, we will start with 50. Let's not just exaggerate the situation. Finland is a small country. How am I going to get more than 50, sponsors for the 50 child? So when that brother came to me and said, I'll take 10, I was like, I should get more. This is nothing. So I'd like to thank that brother sitting here with us, Barakallah fi. I wanted to thank him and shake his hand, but he said he wanted to stay unanimous. So Barakallah fi. So let's make dua for that brothers and sisters. Let's make dua for him. He is mashallah. Now we have 150 kids in Finland that are having sponsors, all sponsored. And I have promises with about 50, so that would be a total of over 200 kids inside Syria, sponsored and getting their €35 every month. When I decided to do this gathering and thank all of you for taking this responsibility, it's not easy to take €35 every month. Every month. It's not easy. But to do that and be committed to it, I think this is beyond any expectations. And I'd like to thank every single one of you for this valuable work you are putting into this project. And you have no idea how those kids are grateful to you. So some brothers and sisters told me, why do you make it as an arrow, only for sponsorships and orphans? And why don't you make it an open event, let everybody come and everybody fire their questions, ask and talk. So instead of having 110 or 140 sponsors or kid, you have 300. And I decided that we have to do it a public event. So now we're all here, Jazakumullah khair. And today, I will just mention headlines about Orphan Project. The project is very simple. We have kids that are living inside Syria, inside Aleppo. Those kids, either they lost their father or they lost their father and mother. And those kids live mainly, most of them, if not all of them, they live with their relatives. Aunt, uncle, grandma, grandfather, they live with them. And they came forward to ask for help. They could not cope. I know a grandmother. She's almost 70 years old. She has 4 kids. 3 of her kids are boys. They all died. They got martyred, fighting and protecting Aleppo. They left each about 4 kids. Now this grandmother is sitting with 12 child alone, helping to provide for those 12 child that she got, taking care of. And she cannot just do it. Physically, mentally, and financially, it's just impossible for her to cope with it. She cannot work, and she does not have any help. And now those 12 kids are now here in those files being taken care of. And that all thanks goes to you, Barakallah fi. So stories like these you hear every day. We are continuously registering kids and making sure that those kids are living inside Aleppo. They're not living in Turkey, and they come and they collect their fee and go back. The main conditions or criteria we have that the kids should live inside Aleppo. And they come every month. On the 10th, they come to us, to our headquarters, and they get their €35. Of course, in local currency. So if the kid does not show up, we don't pay the money. If the kid moved away, we cancel this kid. We ask for him, of course, or her. Where is the child? If they say he moved to some relatives inside Turkey or some other country, we ask how long is he going to be there. If they say he's there for as long time as whatever, we cancel his sponsorship and we move it to another kid. Some cases, kids, they could be facing death. They could die with a bombing, with disease, whatever. So if that child does not show up, the money is not paid. So we make sure that the kid is present and he gets his thumbprint on the paper that we give to or stays with us. So the 35 euro in technical terms, it comes from you every month to our account number. We've asked that this money comes to us on the second day of every single month. When it comes on the second day, on the 4th, hopefully everybody has paid. On the 5th, I try to transfer that money to our local Turkish account number inside Turkey, and on my next visit, I deliver this money myself to the kids, hand by hand. So today we have over 60 kids so far now here with me that still need a sponsor. So for those of you here today, I have got so many brothers, mashallah, and even sisters ask me if they wanted to take. They didn't know that I will say that I have, but I do have 60 kids today with me that they need sponsors. So if anybody of you would like to participate in this, anybody of you would like to ask or get informed on certain things, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, inshallah ta'ala. So I don't want to talk all night. I feel like I did. But of course, we don't give the kids, those orphans, only just the sponsorship money that we pay for them. We also, butcher a few lambs. Like last time, we butchered about 9 lambs, and those 9 lambs made about 600 kilos of meat. And those 600 kilos of meat, each family of those orphans, they got 2 packages of these. Each package about a kilo and a half or 3 kilos of meat. Why the meat? Because I tell you, there is no meat anymore inside Syria. It's such a luxury food that the butcher told me, he was thanking me all day while he was doing his work. And he was thanking me, and I thought, what is this? I mean, meat is something, this is nothing. I said, why you're thanking me all day about butchering this meat? What is so big deal about that? He said, you don't know. The meat is sold in the markets as frozen meat. All kinds of germs and microbes that it contains, and it's poisoning our kids. Having you coming here and giving them fresh meat. By the way, the kilo costs like 50 times that what it cost before, so nobody can afford it, not alone not having it. So having this meat, or giving those meat to those kids' families, do you know what those families are gonna do with this meat? I was like, what they're gonna do? He said, they're gonna cook it, of course. He said, no, they're not gonna cook it. They're gonna just hug it for 3 days and kiss it for 3 days. Then they're gonna start thinking of how to cook it. How many of us do not eat meat? I bet all of us have a stack of freezer full of meat. Alhamdulillah. So we distribute fresh meat. There are a lot of brothers who come to us and say, I have aqiqah to do. So I have 2 lambs to slaughter, so can I send it to Syria? Of course you can. We will do it on your behalf, with your name. We will make the niyyah on your name, and we will butcher 2 lambs or a lamb on your name, and we'll do it. And believe me, the ajr is 1,000 times more. So here's one of those Eid al-Adha projects that we had. We slaughtered over 25 lambs, alhamdulillah, inside Aleppo, and we have fed over 2,500 families with about a kilo each, just to distribute as much as we can to as many as we can. Just briefly, I wanted to talk about the Ramadan event. Ramadan event last time, and I really hope that next Ramadan will be 2 times bigger. Last time, I did not really expect. I thought I would be there for a week, but I wind up being there the whole month. I couldn't just pack it up and come back, and I had to be there and watch all these things happen myself. Like I told you, we managed to feed 16,000 people for the whole month. Warm food, every day. And this food is such a valuable thing, made out of good raw materials. And we had such a huge long line inside the school and outside the school. We couldn't really stop that. First, we had enough money to provide for 8, 9, 10 days maximum. But your Zakat al-Fitr came on time so quickly that I just didn't know how this money is coming. What is this? I mean, one brother sent 2,500 euros. 2,500 euros. He said Zakat al-Fitr. Allahu Akbar. 2,500 euros fed over 2,000 people. You know, the meal for a person is about €1, €2 max. So, and then after doing all that, we noticed we still have enough money to do another thing. So I went to the camps. We bought over the month of Ramadan over 21,000 kilo, 21 ton of food, raw food like this, and we distributed to the tents as a Ramadan basket. And after all that, we still had money. We got almost 11 or 12 big sheets, and we distributed over 1,500 kilos of raw meat to the people, and still had money. We bought, again, chicken, over 2,000 kilos of chicken, raw chicken, and we distributed that to the kids. After all this, we still had money, and we built a school with it. You can imagine that. Just a little money. Some brother sent me, I said, brother, I will give you everything I have. I was like, Barakallah fi. He gave me €2. And he was weeping. He said, I wish I have more. He said, this is everything I have. Allahu Akbar. So, I'd like to just open the floor for you to ask. I'm sure a lot of you are pretty well aware of what exactly we're doing on Facebook. You know, we've loaded over 60, 70 hours of, you know, video materials inside our Syria and the work we do. And thousands of pictures are loaded on Facebook and so on YouTube as well. So pretty much, you know exactly what you do. I don't want to talk too much. I'm sure you came here to ask a lot of questions. So I'll be more than happy to really ask you and answer all the questions you got. Barakallah fi. Bismillah.
MashaAllah, thank you for the presentation. My question was, the 35 euros which is given to the orphan, is it spent in a specific way, or do they get to choose how they spend that money?
Right, so, brother, 35 euro is entirely up to them to what they spend. You know, along the way for 2 years, we were dictating on the people what to get. You know, you can give a family a food basket, but they don't need a food basket. They need medicine. They need to go to the doctor. They have a wounded person in the family. You know, there are other needs. So we really decided to give that as money, concrete money. And I have seen some families, they sell the basket we give them. He said, brother, I don't need it. What do I need it for? So he sell it to somebody else, and he get the money, and he goes buy something that is to him more necessary. Barakallah. Yes, brother Hamza.
Where the families live inside Aleppo, how they live there? In
How
what
the
conditions? In what conditions?
How those orphan families, or in general?
Or generally?
Well, life in Aleppo, it's a nightmare. I mean, I've been there for a whole month of Ramadan, and I visited there over 10 times, and to be honest with you, it's every time you walk or you get in your house or get out of the house, you make shahada. You don't know what happens. Constantly you hear the whistle of the barrel. At night, when the vision is clear for the fire jets, they bomb everything they see. When we drive a car at night, we don't put the lights on. And I don't know how those brothers see it when they drive it. I don't really. Many times I thought we were going to go into the ditch, and I thought this was, you're laughing, you were almost close, right? Brother Omar. He thought, once we were driving inside Syria, he thought we were going into a tree. So, it's not really easy. But those people who live inside Aleppo, they do not really have any more choice. They don't know where to go. They don't have the money to go. And most of them, they don't want to go anywhere. Yes?
You said there is no meat in the shops, or no meat, good meat to buy, but what is it there to buy? What do they get with the 35 euros? Is there something to...
So what do we get with the 35 euro?
What those people can have? Is there shops, or is there...
Yes, there is a lot of, you know, instead of having, 100,000 meat shop inside Aleppo, now we have 3 or 4. But there is, of course, there are 1.5 million people living in the liberated area of Aleppo, where I go. I cannot go to areas where the regime control. I cannot go. They will play with my head football. So this is not an a choice. So there is meat, but it's extremely expensive. Now, how do we came up with the 35 euro? Along the way, when we are distributing, aid and all that, we are giving them food baskets. Food basket was about $20 something. So we thought 2 food baskets will keep this kid alive during this whole month. If a family have 4 kids, that means 4 times 35. It will keep them alive. It's not big money, but it's huge money for them to survive. Any question?
Yes. How to support, like, for example, 2 child or 3 child, for example, every month 35 euros through like Islamic relief they take from the bank straight. Even if you forget or whatever it is, they take it.
Khair, inshallah. So how do we exactly do this talk into practice? So the child we have here, we have all the information. The sponsor, for example, you will fill your form and leave your phone number and all the contact details, and we deliver to you the account number that is specialized or specified for the child care program. Every month. So when you pay the 35 euro, each kid have a child number. Like you see, Muhammad has 803. So when you pay 35 euro, and you write there 803 as Vite or Maksud VST, or like a message on the payment, it will show on the account for us that who paid and for who. So this is the only way. I don't know, in Finland, I'm not really aware of any possibility that we can do. We can go to the bank, take your information,
siinä on tapa voi käyttää, eli esimerkiksi mikä vaan se pankki sulla on, että jos laitat vaikka tässä kuussa vaikka 35 € ja viitemaksuna vaikka 803 toistaiseksi. Eli ei tarvitse aina miettiä milloin maksan ja miten. Eli aina rahat lähtee pois tililtä niin kauan kuin sä lopetat.
Toistuva maksu.
Kaikki on, ne käytä samalla tavalla. Eli jos me haluamme, on tapoja kyllä niin toistuvaksi. Eli laitetaan ja siinä on. Eli ei tarvitse enää vahvistaa tai jos vaikka ei ole rahaa tilillä, heti kun rahaa tulee se odottaa, heti kun rahaa tulee, eli 35 ensimmäinen mikä lähtee tililtä.
We have already mentioned this to all of people. I have answered in every person who asked me, and of course I've been in contact with all of you here in person, and I've been explaining this thing. And 80% of you the payment comes automatically to us, and it's a very relieving thing for us to see. When you go to the bank, Verkkopankki, and you do the payment like Brother Samad said, there is a square where you just mark it and you say toistuva maksu, continuous payment. You choose the date below, what day you want it to go. We prefer that you pay it on the 2nd day, so we have enough time to deliver it on the 10th to the kid. So when you do that, the payment will go automatically. Many of you still, until now, do not really do this. I don't know whether it is complicated. They do not have Verkkopankki or anything, but I believe now most of us have that. So and we also have people that abroad. We have people from Malaysia paying. I have people from Saudi Arabia paying. Of course, they pay every 6 months at a time. Due to the bank expenses, transferring money, and 35 euro every month could go to a 20 euro every payment. So when they pay the whole 6 months, it's cheaper. So I hope that answers your question.
Because it's an Islamic relief, it's from England, from London.
Yes, they do have a branch in.
It's easy.
They have a branch in Sweden.
They take your money from here.
Yes.
It's simple. They just give permission, they can go to your account, and they take that sum that you need to give
This does not work anymore in Finland. I think they do not do this. Banks do not.
But they used to be.
No, they don't do that anymore. Back in the days, about say about 7, 8, 10 years ago,
Yes.
the bank, you can go to the bank. We as an organization can go to the bank and get files or forms,
Yes.
and we have the sponsor fill their information and sign that I agree for this, automatic payments to be taken from my account.
Yes.
But nowadays it does not work.
Yeah, I know.
This has to be done automatically by every single one of us, automatically, manually on the internet. Suora verotus oli toistuva. Please ask me. I thought I would be bombarded today. Yes?
Toinen päivä aina paljon sitten vakausviikolla. Niin jos ei ole sama päivä, niin siinä menee muutama päivä sitten sama viikko. Jos on viikonlopun välissä, niin onko teillä vain yksi tili, sampo tai johtaja, koska jos mulla on vaikka sampoja tai muita, niin kyllähän siinä menee muutama päivä, että pitää
Me toivotaan, että maksu olisi toinen päivä. Me toivotaan niin. Mutta jotkut maksaa 4. päivää, mutta mä näen, että se tulee jatkuvasti 4. päivä. Tai toistuvasti tulee 12. päivä. Se on ihan fine. Mutta pääasia, että se tulee toistuvasti. Että mun ei tarvii. Mä oon nyt ollut viime aikoina niin väsynyt ottaa yhteyttä niihin, jotka ei ole maksanut. Ja se on tosi vaikea. Tällä hetkellä esimerkiksi mulla on 18 maksua maksamatta. Tää kuu on melkein loppumassa. Ja se aiheuttaa meille aika iso päävaivaa. Ja se on mahdotonta. Me ollaan kyllä, kun mä menen Syyriaan, mä maksan niiden puolesta, kunnes mä toivon, että se maksu tulee. Viime käynti Syyriassa mä maksan omasta taskusta niin 18 tai 17 maksua. Ja mä joudun valitettavasti ottaa pois tietyt lapset tietyltä veljiltä, koska mä en vaan osannut saada yhteyttä niihin millään. Se oli tosi harvillista.